Welcome to the A to Z of licensed games, a series of vids about games that take something from something else. We're right at the beginning of our journey, and what does beginning begin with? That's right, the letter B. B is filled with solid licensed games, the majority of them featuring a big black bat that you should probably be afraid of. Yes, there are plenty of excellent Batman games out there, but I didn't choose any of them. For I'm a little bloody minded, you see, and there's a little quasi-adventure game on the Mega Drive about two dumbass brain-free adolescents that holds a lot of good memories for me. So B stands for Beavis and Butthead on the Mega Drive. You might think this a very silly choice. Hell, this isn't even the best remembered Beavis and Butthead game. That honour goes to Virtual Stupidity on the PC. But in the mid-90s I was a kid who absolutely loved everything about Beavis and Butthead. They spoke to me in ways that no others could, and seeing as how I didn't have a PC at all, the Mega Drive game was the way to go. And well, the less said about the SNES game the better. In brief, the story is that our heroes buy some tickets to Gwar, and they end up getting eaten by a dog and chopped up by Mr. Anderson's lawnmower, and so they now have to go around Highland and get all the bits back. Now if I was manning the door at a concert, there's no way in hell I would accept a ticket that's clearly all glued together and likely covered in dog and human sick, but what the hell, right? This ain't no place for real logic, only game logic. There are a few inventory based puzzles to solve along the way, along with some platforming action and the odd minigame. It's sort of a hybrid between an adventure game and action title that does work better than most other point and click efforts on the Mega Drive, but is still basically a jack of all trades and master of none. The puzzles or platforming won't really satisfy any serious fans of either. Its main saving grace, however, is that it does look and feel very much like an extended episode of the show, with all the characters and settings present and correct, and the solutions are suitably juvenile and fiendish. I have to say that putting the wat in the customer's food was always my favourite bit. Nothing like giving someone the bubonic plague just so we can go see a rock show. To be honest, if you've played Virtual Stupidity already, this probably won't be anything special to you. It may well not be even if you haven't. Almost every game I go through in the honourable mentions is going to be better regarded than this game is, some of them by a long way. Frankly, most people would consider this game to be quite mediocre. But it's also a game that I rented out again and again from the video store, loving every second of it. This game just screams 1995 for me. A blistering hot summer, and by God it was, MTV, Quasar, Britpop, this game and, well, you know, what can I say? 1995 was a very good year. Farts were still funny back then. Wait a minute, what the hell am I saying? Farts had never stopped being funny. Anyway, does this hold up today? Yeah, maybe, maybe not. The inventory's quite cumbersome and the action itself isn't the best you'll ever find, but well, I just have too many good memories associated with it. I've no idea why I didn't actually buy the thing back in the day. I spent so much pocket money on renting it that, you know, I easily could have. I'm sure some of you feel the same way about some other games. Just, God, the memories just keep on coming with this one. And for that reason there simply wasn't any other choice for the letter B. Beavis and Butthead. Good times, great memories. Anyway, here are all those superior games. And indeed there's no more obvious place to start than with a slew of Batman titles. First and perhaps most obvious of all, there's Sunsoft's NES platformer, a classically tough game with absolutely cracking music, in the best tradition of Sunsoft games. I imagine you all know this one pretty well as it is one of the better remembered 8-bit platformers, and rightly so because, you know, it's jolly good. Of the other games based around Tim Burton's film, I'm also going to chuck in the Mega Drive game, also by Sunsoft. It differs quite a bit from the NES version, but is also a very solid game that's worth playing if you like early 16-bit action affairs. And let's not forget Batman the Movie on the Amiga. This game's by Ocean, is mostly platforms with a bit of driving and some flying thrown in, and it's the Batman game I was probably most familiar with growing up. Definitely one of Ocean's better efforts in the tie-in department. Another childhood favourite of mine was simply called Batman, released on the Spectrum. This is an isometric maze puzzle game where you just have to collect all of Batman's shit. It's not based on much else other than that, but it is one of the best entries in a very old and creaky genre. As always, expect to fall a lot because the perspective screws with your head and you have no idea where the hell you are. And finally, there is of course the magnificent Arkham series of games, created by Rocksteady for this current generation. just how good does it feel to glide through the air, or to beat up goons, or to solve puzzles, or simply just to collect loads of shit? Both Asylum and City are corkers, two of my favourite games of recent years. I can honestly say that no other games have given me a better experience of being a comic book superhero than these games have, not even Superman 64. Is Arkham City a better game than Beavis and Butthead? Well, duh. But you know, I had my reasons and damn it, I'm gonna stick by them. With Batman out of the way, I can highlight a couple of other decent affairs. C64 fans will undoubtedly know and love Bruce Lee, a classic single-screen arcade action title where you run around and jump kick all who oppose you, collecting lamps to open up other parts of the game. You know, on his deathbed, Bruce Lee wished that one day a company would make a video game that did appropriate justice to his legend, and over 25 years later, this classic has still not been topped. Okay, that whole deathbed story was a complete lie, but let's face it, it's not like it's the only myth surrounding old Brucey's demise. Anyway, if you like old school arcade stuff, you ought to play this one as it should be right up your alley. Moving on, here's Bram Stoker's Dracula, a very solid game based on a completely crap film. It's made by Psygnosis. Now if you know Siggy's stuff, you'd probably be able to guess that. Because actually it does remind me quite a lot of Shadow of the Beast. This is both praise and criticism, as the game can be a right bastard at times. But on the whole, you know, it's possibly the only half-decent game around where you get to play as Keanu Reeves. And there's just enough time to go back to the NES and look at Bucky O'Hare, one of many solid 8-bit tie-in games by Konami. It's another platformer with cracking music, tightly clenched level design, Mega Man-esque stage selection, and very well judged difficulty. Not as hard as some, but not easy either. How incredibly bloody original. This came out quite late in the NES's life and as such isn't as well remembered as some other NES classics, but it's definitely worth playing. Righto, time to grab the paper and head off to the dummy. The Caped Crusader may have been generally treated well by programmers over the years, but it's not all wine and roses, and so he makes an unwelcome return for our shitroom title, Batman Forever. Now I often prefer to cover games that are less well known, whether they're good or bad. However, this one is very infamous indeed. But just like Beavis and Butthead, it certainly holds some memories for me. I, like many of you no doubt, asked for this game as a Christmas present, the Mega Drive version to be precise, and I have long since held a grudge. Somebody at Acclaim thought it would be a good idea to combine side-scrolling action with a Mortal Kombat-esque fighting engine. Turns out that they were wrong. Dead wrong. The end result is a game with overly complex and confusing controls for a side-scroller, where doing anything just seems to take an eternity. The graphics are the worst sort of mid-90s digitised pap, and ultimately it all boils down into one of the most boring games of the 16-bit era. The only thing truly mind-boggling about this game is its insane control scheme and level design, featuring such gems as pressing a diagonal to fire a grappling hook straight up, or appearing at points to teleport straight through a solid floor. It's not a particularly difficult game and you could certainly spend the time required to sweep and uppercut your way through thousands of goons to victory, but why the hell would you? When you play this game, you are never more aware of the time that you're wasting while doing so that could be spent on something constructive, or hell, just anything else. Let's face it, you only get one spin around the universe, and you don't want to spend more than one moment of it playing Batman Forever. Although I suppose it suits the film it's based on, Batman Forever doesn't even have the camp qualities, I guess, that Batman and Robin has. It's 2 hours of nothingness. Amazingly, the game seems to go on even longer. And with that, we've knocked down another letter. There's only 24 more to go. Next time, the video's going to be polluted by filthy vermin. Everything from big ugly mice to a bunch of ghastly chipmunks. Until such time comes to pass, however, it's time to end. Thanks for watching, and wherever you are, whoever you be, have a good one, take care, and I'll see you next time.